Hi, and welcome to the Peregrination podcast. I'm Jason.
And I'm Raj, and you guys are listening to episode number 5.
That's right, episode number 5. So this week we had a little fun. What did we do, Raj?
We went to the Chiang Mai Zoo.
That's right. So going to the zoo is something we've done a few times in a few places, that's for sure. We've been to a few zoos in our day, you could say, both big and small. So the Chiang Mai Zoo is actually fairly sizable.
Yeah, it was much bigger than I originally thought it was going to be.
Right, yeah. When I looked at the map, I mean, you could tell it covers a large area, but when you look at like the attractions map, it doesn't look that big.
Right,
But
right.
it was actually fairly sizable. So, what did you think of the zoo?
I thought overall it was a very cool experience for myself, particularly because I have been to so many zoos with you, and usually, I think, okay, so we're going to the zoo and we're going to see all these animals, which, for the most part, I've seen already. And so I'm thinking, oh, it'll just be a day where I get to enjoy watching different animals do their thing. And I wasn't really expecting anything different, to be quite honest, but there were several things that were very different. Like, for example, we saw a hippopotamus. But not only did we see the hippopotamus, we saw the inside, the mouth of the hippopotamus, which was crazy.
Yeah, I think all the hippos that I've ever seen, they're like bathing in the water way off in the corner. And there's these big fat gray things. And, they're just doing their thing or whatever. This was like up close. Like the thing that was good about the Chiang Mai Zoo is that you could feed a lot of the animals.
Yeah, it was really cool. They just left all kinds of food on the side, and they just expected you to deposit 10 baht,
Right, like a donation.
a donation, and then just take the food and you could feed the animals. So
Yeah, yourself.
so one of the options was to feed the hippos.
Right.
And
They just
so,
leave like a big bundle of grass there. You
Yeah.
grab it and then you can just like throw it to the hippo.
yeah, exactly. So there was a woman who was feeding the hippo, and we were able to see the inside of the mouth of the hippo. And I was really shocked to see that it had such teeth. And it
Yeah.
was so big.
It
And I
had
have to
really
admit, it was
big, weird teeth.
disgusting
It-
too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. The inside of the mouth was so disgusting.
Yeah.
It was like this, like you would see in a horror movie, just this like
Ugh.
pulsing pink
Yeah.
blob of flesh. Oh, it
Yeah.
was gross.
And it was like eating the grass. I think it was the grass, right?
Yeah.
And it had it in its mouth, but it kept opening its mouth for more. It didn't even
Didn't even
swallow
finish like swallowing what it
the
had in
first
its mouth
thing, yeah.
already. Yeah.
Yeah. And also there was the option to feed the what was it? The black panther.
Oh yes, yeah. You could get like a piece of meat on the end of a stick, and then
Yeah.
you would stick the stick through the fence.
Yeah, that was cool. And then there's a whole bunch of animals you could feed, which was really
Giraffes
really cool.
and
Yeah,
the emus.
That's right. That was another thing that I found really fun at the zoo was I actually fed the giraffes.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Like, and you could see the behavior between the male and the female. It was like so different. You could tell that the male was so much more aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. That's true in most species. You can
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
But it was really, really apparent to me, and the female was just being so passive. What about you? What did you like about the zoo?
Yeah. So I really like the fact that you could feed the animals, and there was a different air to the zoo than you get from a lot of zoos. There's a lot more like openness, I suppose. Like, well, with some of the exhibits, like the giraffes or whatever, like you just feed them their necks come over. Like there's a more interaction, or like where the gibbons were, they had like a whole gibbon setup, and it was basically just surrounded by a moat. Like you could jump over that if you really wanted to.
Right.
So like there's a sense of openness, and there wasn't like a lot of the animals that were caged. You find it hard to see through like a fence and stuff. And then the the peacocks there were pretty memorable. They ruled that place.
They
man.
totally rule that place because they just had the freedom to go anywhere and everywhere. We
Yeah.
would be walking in the zoo, and then we'd see a peacock and walk further and see another peacock, and
Yeah, they were
you
just
just go
walking
anywhere.
around.
And they
Yeah.
were even hanging out with the different animals in their little.
Yeah, they jump in with
places.
the gibbons and stuff.
Yeah, it was funny.
pretty funny.
Oh, but the peacock, we saw something so incredibly cool.
Yeah, we saw the peacock with its full regalia of feathers, like all spread out.
So
He was
beautiful.
trying to intimidate like another male. I don't think that other one cared though.
No, he
But-
didn't care at all.
But yeah, he would just be turning to like face, and then he'd do like this shake, like he
Yeah.
uses other feathers to like shake his big feathers, and it'd make like this rustling noise, like.
Yeah.
And he was like trying to intimidate
peacock.
The other peacock. Yeah,
And
it
he
was
was
really
doing
cool.
it, and he was doing it for a while, right?
Yeah,
And
I got some cool pictures, hopefully.
Yeah, he was really serious about it. He really wanted to intimidate that other peacock, but the other peacock was just like, whatever, dude. I'm trying to eat here. So that was pretty cool. And like you said, that peacock really had all its feathers. They were all colorful because later we saw other peacocks, and when they spread their feathers, they were not as colorful and big. So that was really
it's like
cool.
the perfect one. Yeah. I mean, we'd seen that before when we went to the Taipei Zoo when we lived in Taiwan.
But not like this, the way he was shaking them.
Yeah, he was like shaking them and being really intimidating and stuff. Yeah, it was different. Yeah,
definitely.
It was cool. So what was your favorite part of the zoo?
I thought the feeding was really cool. That was like definitely a highlight for me at the zoo because that was something that you just don't get that kind of experience. For example, in the Seoul Zoo, when we went there, I didn't feel like I had that kind of interaction. I mean, the Seoul Zoo was very colorful and well decorated, but you don't get that kind of interaction, that close interaction with the animals.
Right.
But what was memorable was when we went to Darjeeling in India, that zoo, and we got really close up with that tiger, and he knew that everybody was like trying to take pictures of him and staring at him. So do you remember what he did?
Yes, I remember. So that tiger was making a lot of noise. You know, he was. You know, when animals are in cages, sometimes they do that walking back and forth thing. And I've seen tigers do that a lot, actually. But he was walking back and forth, and then there was a bit of a crowd, maybe like 10 people, and he was doing his like little tiger chuff at them, because tigers don't roar; they like make a different noise. They chuff, it's called. So he was doing that noise, and then the other people around were just like imitating him.
Yeah.
So he'd go like, ruff, and then they like do it louder, like in his face or whatever. I mean, you couldn't get up; he was a fair distance away. But they were making the noise too, and then it sounded like he was getting angry about it, so he would keep doing it some more, and then the audience or the people, there's one guy in particular, he would do it right back at him, and so eventually on one round the tiger came out and he peed on the guy.
He basically peed on the guy.
He did the perfect shot. He shot right through the fence, lifted up his leg, shot right through the fence, and this perfect arc right over to the guy. The guy jumped away at the last second.
Right.
He almost got soaked in tiger pee.
That was so funny. That was incredible.
Yeah.
He really told him what was what. That tiger told him. Just getting back to the Chiang Mai Zoo, another thing that I really liked were those animals, those monkeys that looked like, as you described it, they were wearing pants. And they had such colorful faces. What were they called again?
I think they were called dukes or something. The spelling is D-O-U-C.
Okay.
So I guess you could say duke, duck.
Okay.
I don't know.
They were really cool. We'd never ever seen them before.
Not those ones. So yeah, they had like really cool yellow faces. There's like 5 colors they had in all. But yeah, they looked like weird artists. Like they had yellow faces, and then there was like white all around the face, and then most of their body was gray with like a white belly. And then when it got to like their legs, there was like basically a very dark brown on the top, and then from the knee down, it was like this reddish maroon color. So yeah, it totally looked like they were wearing pants. I thought, they were really cool looking.
You know when we first started dating and we went to African Lion Safari?
Yeah.
I remember you made it really clear that you didn't really like zoos.
Yeah. So I still have mixed feelings about zoos because, you know, there's good work that zoos do, like, you know, Toronto Zoo, some of the bigger ones in the US and Europe. They do a lot of like good animal breeding programs, and you know, they're really concerned about animals. But I mean, not every country has those, or not every zoo, even in countries that have good ideals, you know, they're not always up to the standards that you would like. So like even like African Lion Safari, like they have some of the animals out and you can drive around, which is nice, right? Like you can just go up with your car and the animals can kind of wander wherever they want. That part's all right. But then when it comes to like the birds that they had at the African Lion Safari, they're like basically like chained to a stump.
Right.
And you know, when you think of birds, you think of like having the space to fly around.
Right.
That's why I like zoos like Taipei or the Chiang Mai Zoo, where they have like an aviary. So at least the birds, you know, maybe they can't fly around the whole world, but at least they have that space to fly in, which is pretty nice. Yes, so that's about it for me on zoos. You know, I like the animals to be treated well. I don't mind them being in captivity for people to see. I think it's important that people see them. but I want the animals to be treated right and have good cages and stuff. Like there was one zoo we saw in Korea where I was like horrified that the conditions, the monkeys were kept in, it was basically like one stick and like the rest a tile space of maybe like smaller than a bedroom. It was yeah, horrifying. Anyway, so what do you think about zoos?
Well, I hate to be so agreeable with you, but I totally agree with you that it depends on how they are treating the animals. It's very important for educational purposes to see these animals, and it could be very fun, to fulfill your curiosity because not everybody has the opportunity to go to the safari in Africa and see animals, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very nice, and we should feel very fortunate that we can see animals in zoos, but they have to be kept in proper conditions.
Well, I'm glad you agree with me. Everyone should agree with me. But I have a question for you. What did you not like about the Chiang Mai Zoo?
Well, that is very easy. When we went to the reptile section, it was the last section we visited, but I was truly disgusted at the conditions that the animals were kept in.
Yeah, the reptile exhibit was the worst. It clearly seemed like older, and there was one turtle who was just like
Covered with algae, and we were actually thinking it was probably dead, the way it was being presented.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just the area in which the animals were kept, they were filthy in that section. It was like, it felt to me like that area of the zoo was abandoned.
Yeah.
It was hidden away.
Yeah, nobody was really in there looking at those animals either. So yeah, it was a poor section of the zoo. Another poor section of the zoo was like there's a back entrance, and you can kind of walk that way to get out. They have like a children's water park and a koala exhibit, except there was no one there.
It was really weird, right?
Yeah, it felt like, like if you were filming a zombie movie.
Yeah.
That's where you would go.
The perfect setting.
Yeah, everything all abandoned.
Yeah. We still haven't really figured out what's going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, but it was still a good time. I would recommend going. Depends on your thoughts on zoos, of course, but most of the exhibits are good. And there were some animals missing, but that happens.
That happens for various reasons, but overall, I think
overall,
it's worth a try.
Good experience. Yeah.
So this week, Jason, I have a question for you regarding animals.
All right, I'm excited. Bring it on.
Okay, so you've been to several zoos now. I want you to think very hard about an animal that is fairly social. Pick any animal.
From a zoo.
From a zoo.
A meerkat.
Perfect. That is exactly what I was thinking. A meerkat. Believe it or not, I was thinking, I hope he picks meerkat because this will illustrate the point very clearly. So, as you know, meerkats like to hang out together.
Yes.
Okay, they're very, very social. So imagine you are a meerkat and you're at the zoo and you're living with all of these meerkats and you're getting all the food that you need and being taken care of really well by the zookeepers.
Okay.
That's situation number one. And situation number two is you're a meerkat, but you're in the wild and you're not with other meerkats, but you have all the freedom to go and do whatever you want, whatever meerkats do. What situation would you rather prefer? The first one or the second one?
Well, I'll start by saying I'm not a meerkat, so I don't know what it's like to be a meerkat. But even in the wild, meerkats hang out in groups. That's part of their social thing, part of their species, what they do. So I can't imagine a meerkat in the wild by itself feeling comfortable with its environment.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because meerkats are prey. And the reason why they hang out is because, some can eat and then the other meerkats watch out and like, oh my gosh, there's an eagle coming, give the signal, and then they all run and hide. So if you had to do that by yourself, I would assume it's extremely stressful being a meerkat by yourself. Now, on the other hand, in the zoo, okay, you get all your buddies, you get to do all that, but then maybe you don't get a lot of exploring to do. But I don't know how much meerkats explore. Like, they probably just live around their little houses anyway. Do they run around the whole African savannah or wherever they live? I don't think so. It might be all right to be in a zoo. I guess if you're with your buddies and you're being taken care of and you have enough, maybe it's all right being in the zoo.
It's interesting that that's how you responded. So I'm getting the feeling that you're saying that it's okay to be in the zoo. That's what you would pick.
For some animals, I think it's not that bad. If I was a meerkat, like I said, and I had the choice, I'd probably feel more comfortable with my meerkat buddies. Mm-hmm. Because animals don't have really a concept of freedom. Mm-hmm. They just kind of know, or that we know of anyway. but they just kind of go and like being able to roam around. Now, if I was a tiger,
Mm-hmm.
on the other hand, I'd probably say put me out in the wild because, or like a bear where they have like huge ranges that they go around. There's
Mm-hmm.
no possible way that you could have the range of an animal like that and keep it in a zoo that people could see. Unless you had like drones tracking it all the time or something weird,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So it depends on which animal for you to answer that question.
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, do you remember that documentary we saw, Blackfish?
Yes,
Right. It's like there's no way a killer whale should be kept in an aquarium. Like
that's right. It
they're
could go
they're
crazy.
roaming. It would be like keeping a humpback whale in an aquarium. Like
Yeah.
they have these huge oceanic ranges. It's ridiculous to think that you can confine them.
So it comes down to the animal and exactly how much space they would have in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there is no easy answer to the question I was asking. It does come down to the kind of animal and the kind of space that they require to live.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. Like if you're keeping a spider around, you can. It's small, and you can provide enough room for it, even for it to survive for however long. And it's not really like an exploratory big hunting animal kind of thing. So, yeah. How about you? How do you feel about it?
I think that the points that you have made about animals having to be together to survive, especially if they're very, very social, is a really good point. Because originally, before I asked you the question, I was thinking that, every animal needs its freedom, and why wouldn't every animal be out there on their own? They would be living such an interesting life rather than being in a zoo. Yeah, you get everything, you get the food, you get the comfort, but then their life is so limited. Like where do you explore? How much can you explore in a zoo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So overall, I was thinking that it would be way better to be out there in the wild. But since you mentioned that animals may not have a concept of freedom, well, then that does change everything. And I do agree that it does depend on like how much space an animal needs. Like, how you're talking about that killer whale, they should be out in the ocean for sure, not in a small little aquarium, because they'll go mad. They also feel emotion, So, yeah.
Well, that kind of leads into the question that I had for you this week.
Oh, really?
Yes, which is more existential here.
Oh my gosh.
So, if you die and you reincarnate as an animal, which one do you want to come back as?
I have thought of this question before, and I don't have a clear answer still, because there are a lot of qualities that I like about birds, and maybe that has something to do with being around you a lot, because you always talk about being, the freedom that comes with being a bird and flying around, which is really, really admirable, because then you can go anywhere. But then I also think about animals that are really strong. Okay, if it comes to looks, I really like that clouded leopard.
Oh yes, we saw
It
one
was
at the Chiang Mai
so
Zoo.
beautiful, and just the way it's all stealthy as
Yeah.
it walks.
The
and
way
it
cats
comes.
move are so
Yeah,
cool.
it's cool.
I love cats.
And as you know, I've always loved cheetahs
Mhm.
because they're so fast, and again, they're stealthy. So I don't know. This is a really hard question.
Gotta
if I had
pick
to
one.
pick one
Gotta pick one.
animal, for now, I'm going to say a cheetah.
A cheetah. Ooh.
Only because I've always been in love with cheetahs ever since I was young.
Yes.
I could change my mind later, but for now, since you're putting me on the spot, I'm going
On
to
the
say
spot,
cheetah.
that's right. Yes.
Yeah, because it's fast, it's cute, and it's very stealthy. And yeah, it can roam around everywhere. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I've thought about this question before too. I'm sure many people have, like what kind of animal would you be? And I've often thought of like the cool animals like a shark or like especially like a tiger because tigers are really cool. I love cats. They move all stealthily. They can like track and hunt down their prey and they're fast and no one wants to mess with the tiger, right?
Nobody.
Yeah, man, get your face clawed off. Look out. But I keep coming back to what you mentioned already, birds. Some
Yes.
kind of bird.
I knew it.
Yeah, just man, being able to fly, like being above it all, you just go wherever you want, and then I wouldn't want to be like a sparrow or something. I mean, you just get eaten by a hawk, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's no fun. But like one of the big birds, that can fly around, maybe just like a seabird, like an albatross. Like I don't have to be a good looking, super awesome. Hey, look at me, I'm a bald eagle. I look so cool. Nothing like that. I could just be like just like a seabird, like an albatross. He like flies they sleep while they're flying and everything. Like they fly for miles and miles and miles, and you just drift around. That to me is like ideal. So yeah, I'd probably come back as a bird. Yes, maybe not the coolest, but yeah,
Nailed
definitely.
it. I nailed it.
Yeah, you got me pegged. What can I
Yeah,
say?
no, you have really good points as to why being a bird is very attractive. It's the flying.
Yes, it's well, yeah, the freedom that comes with flying, like, you can just travel the globe like we do now, except anytime, anywhere, free flights, man.
For free.
Yeah, right. You don't have to pay for flights.
And,
Sweet.
that's why we were also inspired to call ourselves the Peregrine Pals.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Bird based. Right.
Bird based, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I guess that's it for this week, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's about it. We wanted to just talk about animals. And did you want to say anything about the Good Dinosaur, the movie?
Oh yeah, so we saw The Good Dinosaur this week. I liked it. I mean, it was decent, but it was kind of felt formulaic after seeing so many Pixar things that tries to make you laugh and cry and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't as their best movie, but it was still worth seeing. It was good.
It reminded me a little bit of The Lion King, the part where the father takes the dinosaur. And I'm sorry if I am ruining this for anybody who hasn't watched the movie.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert, so you may not want to listen. But yeah, that part was very similar. I almost knew it was coming. And then this drastic, terrible event happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked the movie because I saw a lot of psychology in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like that whole thing that dinosaur had to leave his comfort zone in order to face his fears and grow stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't have done that if he never associated himself or put himself in situations where he had to deal with very difficult characters.
Right. I guess. But
And experiences.
Yeah, that's kind of why I didn't like it, is because it felt like I'd seen this movie before, like I knew it was gonna happen. So like, okay, yeah, he's gonna go have fun at this point, and then something bad's gonna happen, and he's gonna have to like sacrifice and learn how to become like the dinosaur that he's supposed to be. Yeah, okay, great. I've seen this movie.
This also reminded me of traveling, like how we're traveling. Like when we are traveling out there in the world, we are also making ourselves better and strengthening our qualities and realizing our weaknesses and working on them. And again, it's difficult to do so if you're just in the same environment all the time.
Right.
Because you are limited to how many people or situations you are dealing with, right? So I liked the movie. I know that the theme of the movie was, very familiar, but I still enjoyed it. Again, that idea of the hero's journey was presented in this movie, and I think it's really a cool concept to be presented over and over again, because the fact of the matter is I believe that these are things that actually we do experience as we grow in life.
Right. Well, yeah, there were parts of the movie that I liked. There surprisingly wasn't as many dinosaurs in the movie as you would think, but the ones that were there were cool, and I liked the whole Western part of the movie where they turned it into a little bit of a Western movie. That part, which I guess felt different, is probably why I liked it more.
And what I really liked was the dinosaurs that we all see, the T-Rex as being this really terrible, scary dinosaur, that's how he's always presented, was actually the good dinosaur that those dinosaurs were the good ones that helped.
Right. Not the
No, okay, now we're getting all
good dinosaur.
But they were like better than the other dinosaurs
they were nice dinosaurs.
They were nice dinosaurs, which you don't usually see, because when you think of T-Rex, you think of
terrible.
Yeah, so that was nice.
Yeah. But I guess another reason why I didn't like the movie is I didn't like the main dinosaur character boy. Yeah, I thought he was so lame, like just the biggest wimp. Come on, dumbass dinosaur.
But I feel like they were trying to present that.
Yeah, of course.
So
but like, why do they have to make it? Why do they have to make it so like 100% wimpy? Like there's no like redeeming qualities. Like why should I like this dinosaur? He's pathetic and useless.
Yeah, but he was always thinking, I want to put my paw on that rock. So he always had that internal motivation to become someone better. He had that struggle within him, and they wanted to present to the audience how weak he was. And the point of the story was that someone as weak as him can at the end stand up and be strong.
Yeah.
No, you're not buying it?
No, don't buy it. Anyway, yeah, so well, what are we doing this week?
So this week we're going to try to get out a video about the Chiang Mai Zoo.
Yes, and I've got a bunch of pictures, so you can check Instagram for those. Hopefully I'll get them out soon.
And again, please, please, please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as iTunes.
That's right. We're on iTunes and SoundCloud and Stitcher.
It really helps us out. Once again, if you guys leave any comments, feedbacks, or ratings on iTunes.
And don't forget, like I said, Instagram and Facebook, of course. Peregrine Pals there.
And that about wraps it up for episode number 5. See you guys next time.
Bye.